What do you think one of the most difficult lessons you've learned in your career?
One of the things I think is over time, as I've grown up in management, is staying close to my people. And it's those lessons, as you move away from relationships, you have less and less control. And it's giving up the control and trusting in people is making sure, it's one of these things. You have pride. I think as a CPA we work very hard. I think, we are proud of the work we do. We kind of take a sense of ownership, and it's sharing that ownership with the legacy of leaders of tomorrow to make sure that, you can entrust with them their leadership, and they have to entrust you. But it's that migration from moving away from one-on-one dealing with people as you grow in your organization. You can't always do that, and that's the frustration level I have. But I think it's making sure that you build leaders for tomorrow, and that's one of the things I think I probably see it as a source of growing as you grow within your own career, and that's so important. I think, I talk about leadership a lot, and there's a couple different ways. There's thousands of different books on it, and there's 1,000 different ways of looking at leadership. But I always say that, there are 3 types of leaders in this world. There are leaders that produce great results, and they're very good leaders. Mm-hmm. There are leaders that produce great leaders, and they're very good leaders. But the best leaders are the ones that can produce great results and produce great leaders for the future. And that, to me, is the best leader of all time. So,
I'm excited about the program, I think, that happened during Ernie Almonte's year, where they created this Leadership Institute for young CPAs. Could you tell me how, I guess in the second year now, how the success has been going with that?
Sure. I think Ernie had the vision of leadership, and I think we continue that vision, and I think it's growing more and more. And it's not what it is. It's a leadership academy that 30 people are allowed to go through each year, and we've continued it. Bob Harris continued it last year. I'm continuing it again this year, and we have 30 people throughout the profession that are recommended by their companies or by outside CPAs, and they go through a kind of a screening process. And it's a selection process. 30 people are selected, and then they're placed in leadership positions either at the state society or at the AICPA. And whether it be on council, whether it be on committees, what we've also done is, out of that, we've added to make sure that there are younger people, and younger I define as, or is defined in this process. I define it a lot older than they define it, but it's people under 35 years of age. We make sure that every committee has 1 or 2 or possibly even more people on the committees of the ICPA. But I think what I've seen, and I've got more excited, is it's expanded beyond just the AICPA. Now we have leadership academies growing up at state societies all over the country. And they're focused, the state societies are now focused on that leadership. And we've got young professionals, and it's terrific, because by my definition of leadership, it's not only the producing the great results, but it's producing the great leaders, and that is yielding great leaders. And so and I know you've had success. There are a number of members from Florida Institute that have gone through the program, and they are stars. Absolutely. So you should be proud of that.
Well, thank you so much. Yes. What message would you give to a student or a young professional CPA that's considering a career in becoming a CPA, and whether or not they should look at industry or what path? What would be the message you would like to leave them?
Few things. One, study hard, because accounting is not easy, but on the flip side of it is stick with it, and accounting can be very satisfying. I always look back, I guess, when I kind of was looking at my career, and that's what I have to do to make sure. I've got 4 daughters, so I kind of have learned how to talk to the younger generation. Actually, they've taught me how to talk to the younger generation. But whenever I look at someone going into their business, my recommendation is always start out in accounting. And don't be so concerned early in your studies on where you're going to land. I think you should study to come out with an accounting degree, and certainly to get a CPA license. That is going to leapfrog you in terms of your competition, and it's going to give you a firm grasp of the accounting world and the foundation of business. And then I think I would say, kind of trust your instincts, making sure that you go to a place where you can enjoy life, because we work too hard. And I always, people talk about work-life balance. I talk about today, I think it's more work-life integration, because your day never ends. With technology, you may be at a job from 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 or whatever your time frame is. But during that time, technology has made it so that you can have interruptions with your life. And it's okay. And that's what I think we need as kind of the mature generation, to understand the work-life integration that younger people can have. So my recommendation to new students would be certainly study hard, get your CPA, but then pick a place where you're going to be happy. Because if you're not happy in your job, you're not happy in life, and that's what's needed.
Thanks. Earlier you touched on your involvement with the State Society. Could you tell me a little bit about how important that role has been in your life and your career? Expand upon it a little bit.
Sure. I guess as I grew up in the State Society, I got on one committee. And since I had joined a bank holding company at the time, I naturally got on the banking committee, and within 2 years I chaired that committee. I'm somebody that I believe in leadership. I guess I was fortunate enough as a young child. I was in the Boy Scouts. I became an Eagle Scout, and that kind of gave you a lot of training for leadership.
Absolutely.
But as I grew and I headed clubs in high school, and I think it's that early leadership that is oh so important in your career. And then I was able to do that with the State Society. And so I was on I chaired the banking committee, then I was on strategic planning, I got on a number of committees, and I went through the leadership ranks, and I got on the board of trustees, and it allowed me to expand my network. I was able to use that in my business as well as use that in my social network, and it developed me as not only a leader but also somebody that was happy in my career, because I found ways to enjoy the profession outside of just my normal workplace. So I think life is too short not to enjoy things as you go along. So you got to go where your heart is, and you got to go where your professional home is.
Today a lot of young people have to make choices about what they join because of what they value in life as far as their time goes, and I guess the question of joining a state society versus just going directly and joining the AICPA, I mean, would you consider it most important to join the state society?
I think it's important to join both, and they both serve different needs. I think the State Society is the local network. I think the AICPA is the advocacy. That's probably the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's the advocacy based upon the profession. Not that the AICPA is not, or the State Society is not doing that, but I think it is the broader focus. We get involved with a lot of the international issues. We get a lot involved with social issues like the Leadership Academy, but really beyond that. So, and of course, our members always like the insurance too. So, but when you take a look at it, there's not only room for both, but one feeds off the other. What I like so much, and as coming up as a state society chair, president of my state society, you know, I always liked the compatibility with the AICPA and the state society. They feed off each other and they need each other. You know, when there are advocacy issues that we need a grassroots support, it's the state societies, and I am very much an endorsement of both working together, and it's not at odds. You know, it's a joint. We need each other. So, you know, I think for your local professional home, I think it's state society. For the overall profession, I think it's the AICPA, and the benefits of membership are significant for both of them.
Thank you.